What is going on, guys? Panther here, bringing you our APA Wi-Fi week 5, week 5 against. This is against Jonathan, coach of the Green Bay. I don't know. Johnny Green Bay is his name. That's his name. I don't know what he's the coach of. He's in another league with J Specs, who was unable to battle this week. So he is battling this week for J Specs, as you can see. So no team builder this week again. As you can see, we've made some transactions. We have dropped Scrafty for Gardevoir, and we have dropped Mega Pinsir for Mega Gyarados. So as you can see, Jonathan's team over there, he has the Heliolisk, he has the Zygarde 50%, he has a Lickilicky, Mega Blastoise, Chestnut, and the Weezing. So he's very, very prepared for my Sand and my Excadrill, because if I am Sand, he has the Cloud9 Licky. If I am Sand, he does have Cloud9 Licky, and he does have the Weezing. If I am Mold Breaker, he does have the Chestnut. So he's very prepared for my Excadrill. So he does not have the Weevil. He does not bring the Jirachi or the Alolan Marowak either, which I was very, very afraid of, because I did not switch in too well, to be completely honest. My Melodic did not want to take an Adamant Shadow Bone. So it did force me to bring a defensive Miltank with Thick Fat to help me deal with the Alolan. I did bring the Melodic to help deal with the Jirachi. Jirachi didn't have a great matchup. I can definitely see why he did not choose to bring Jirachi. But Weevil was always very scary, so was very surprised to not see the Weevil here. But I do understand the Mons that he brought and why he decided to bring those. Not sure how much prep was put into this match. I do know he's a very good battler. He is a PMC champion. I think he won like season 1 or season 2 or something like that. So we are facing we're facing someone who knows what they're doing. We don't know if we're facing them on their best day, because we don't know how much prep time he actually put into this. But yeah, I know it's going to be a pretty tough matchup. So let me just jump back though real fast. So we played Jacob last week, and we ended up losing that match 2-0. So he did actually use this was not his fault or anything. It is in the rules, but he did not know. He did actually use the Swords Dance Scolipede last week, so we are going to have to replay our match. The other commissioners of the APA have deemed, I kind of stayed out of it. I didn't want any part of that decision just because I was biased, but they did deem that we would have to replay the match since the illegal set was used. So we are 3-0 at this point. Me and Jacob are going to battle later on this season whenever we have the opportunity to. So we're actually not 3-1. We are 3-0. I'm not sure if the thumbnail what it's going to say. Hopefully it does say 3-0. So we are basically a game behind, because we're going to have to redo the match against Jacob. So hopefully we're able to keep our undefeated record here going against J-Spec's team. So let's jump into this here. So looking at his team matchup, I figured he may lead Heliolisk, because Heliolisk really matched up well against my team. So I wanted to go ahead and lead with my Excadrill to force him to make a decision. Because if he's Scarf, he may think I'm Scarf. So if he is Scarf, he does not kill me with Surf. But he won't want to risk his Heliolisk. I predict him to U-turn out. Either U-turn out here or just a hard switch into the Chestnut. So he sees I'm Mold Breaker, so I really do think he's going to switch into the Chestnut. And I do have a surprise for the Chestnut. So I am Swords Dance. I do have the Aerial Ace, which will 100% guaranteed knock out this Chestnut. So I do SD turn 1 in the face of that Heliolisk, even though he could have hit me with that Surf there. I do take a big risk, but it ends up paying off because I get my SD up. So he does Spiky Shield here. I did think he could go for the Spiky Shield, but it is what it is. I didn't want to SD again and him Drain Punch me and knock me out. So it was definitely worth the 23 damage to just go ahead and attack this thing. Didn't want to make any other predictions here. He didn't have anything he wanted to switch into this guy anyway, so I did just go ahead and Aerial Ace, and we pick up a big KO there, turn 1 on that, or turn 3 on that Chestnut. So plan worked to perfection with Excadrill so far. He does bring back out the Heliolisk. He knows I'm not Scarf now, but I do know that he is forced to Surf here. I am thinking that he is Scarfed at this point, though. Following this right here, just following the damage that he ends up actually doing. He goes for the Surf, and as you can see from the damage, I am a defensive Miltank, but I do take that fairly decently. But I did calc it, and he's not any boosting item at least. but he's not Life Orb, he's not Specs. And then just the way he withdrew instead of actually Volt switching out there, I do think he is. That set. So I think I just take this opportunity to get my rocks up. Yep, get my stealth rocks up here with my mill tank. I do have the ice punch. I can deal with most mons that he has here at this point. Actually, let me do this. Let me try something new this week. I'm going to get rid of the Chesnaught off the screen since he is dead. So he does Dragon Dance here. I did not want this thing to set up a Dragon Dance for free. I do eat a he can't outrage. I do eat 1,000 arrows at this range. He does turn into Biachi, so my Ice Punch isn't going to do anywhere near as much, but we do show him that we have Ice Punch, and he can't stay in on me to stay in here and try to take me on, because he can't kill me with 1,000 arrows. I am max defense. Mill Tank just putting in the finest again this match. Every time I bring this thing, it just does so well. So it goes out in a Blastoise. Unfortunately, I am forced to Ice Punch here. I do know that he could very realistically go out to the Blastoise, but I couldn't risk making a double here into my Jolteon or anything and catching 1,000 arrows. So it is what it is. We pick up an unfortunate freeze here. I do not think it matters because I think Blastoise has Scald. Obviously, he could just very well Scald the next turn and unfreeze himself. So ended up not mattering on that particular mon. So I do go out into my Melodic thinking he's just going to Scald and unfreeze himself. So I think he's just going to fire off the Scald and unfreeze, but I don't know if he does he have the Scald. I don't remember if he shows it. But he doesn't Scald here. I guess I don't know what he collects. He stays frozen, but I definitely thought he was just going to Scald and unfreeze himself, and I didn't have anything else that wanted to switch him to a Scald. So I figured, he would again Scald because it's not going to matter. He's going to unfreeze. I don't have anything else to hit this thing with. I do have the HP Flying to help me deal with the Chesnaught. Or do I have? No, I have Ice Beam. I have Ice Beam to help me deal with the Chesnaught. I have Ice Beam and Scald. I thought about HP Flying. But we do unfreeze him, unfortunately. I don't know why he just didn't click Scald there, turn 1 to unfreeze himself. But that is what it is. He does spin to get rid of my rocks. No big deal, though, because I don't predict him really to do much here. So I go out into my Jolteon on... I was going to just throw off the Toxic, so I probably should have just thrown off the Toxic. But that is what it is. I got my Jolteon out here now. And I'm able just to Volt Switch out. That shows me that this thing is a Spadef Licky Licky. I am a Magnet Jolteon, so I should have done more damage to that thing, but I feel like he doesn't have much he can do to my Excadrill here. But this is a pretty unique Licky Licky set. So he knocks off here, he gets rid of my Expert Belt. I did run Expert Belt to help me guarantee that OHKO on Chesnaught. I just fire off the Earthquake here because it's going to do some pretty massive damage. But this Licky Licky is actually a problem because he does have the Earthquake. He is going to knock me out here with the Earthquake and make this thing 5-5 in my so tied here. So this Licky Licky is actually a little bit of a problem. I go out here because I feel like this is my opportunity to set up, and if I can start setting up, Gyarados can really do some work. So I figured he could Toxic me. If he Toxics me, it is what it is. If I'm able to get a +2, I'm able to seriously wall break his team. So I go ahead and I bring in Gyarados. I go ahead and I click Dragon Dance, and he goes ahead and just straight. I don't want to spoil it. He just straight Dragon Tails me out here. So wasted opportunity there because he just Dragon Tails. I probably should have just attacked there, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I didn't know if it'd switch out or what exactly it'd do, but it was good bring on his part to make sure this Licky Licky wasn't set up fodder for anything. Takes me out into my Jolteon, so I'll just go ahead and Volt Switch here. He could Wish or knock off or do whatever here, but I do bring in. I did not predict him to go for the Body Slam though, because this is going to do a lot of damage to my Gardevoir. So unfortunately, this does a ton of damage to my Gardevoir. Really hoping to not get the para there, but we do take that rather decently. So I click Moonblast here because I am Specs Gardevoir. He doesn't have anything that he wants to switch into guard. So we do pick up the KO on the Lick Licky there with the Moonblast. So He brings up the Heliolisk. I don't know what item he is. I'm fine just staying in here because I can knock this thing out with Specs Moonblast, and he gets a flinch on me. So that's really unfortunate there that he does get the flinch. He comes into play a little bit later. We'll touch on that again later. But he does get the flinch. So I do bring out my. I think this thing's Scarf at this point, so I do bring out my Gyarados, and that's a big misplay on my part, as you can see. Because I'm thinking it's Scarf. I didn't think it would be E-Belt, but it turns out it was actually E-Belt. So he goes out into the Zygarde here. I cannot let this thing set up. Cannot let this thing set up for free because my Ice Punch doesn't do enough at this point. So I'm forced to Waterfall, and he just takes the opportunity to knock out my Gyarados. So just like that, we are down a little bit more. Let me remove Licky Licky. It is 4-4 here in this. So, you know, he has definitely some pretty big threats left for me. So I'll bring out my defensive wall. Do I go for the Ice Punch here? I feel like I do go for the Ice Punch just because I'm forced to go for the Ice Punch here. No, I pull a double. I do predict him to go into my. I do predict him to go out into the Blastoise or the Weezing. So I just go straight out into my my Gardevoir because this thing is definitely in range of Specs Moonblast. So as you can see, we drop the Moon on this Blastoise. It's going to do a lot of damage. It picks up the KO. So that's 2 kills for Gardevoir right there. So Gardevoir, the newest addition to the team's already just throwing the team on her back here, knocking out Licky Licky and knocking out that Blastoise. So he goes out into the Weezing. He knows I'm Specs here at this point. I cannot knock him out with the Psyshock, and he sets up some Toxic Spikes, which is really rather unfortunate because it's really going to put some pressure on my walls here at this point. So I can't really do much to this thing. I'm forced to Scald here. It does a pretty decent amount there. And he gets up as another layer of Toxic Spikes. So here I make what I felt like was a good play. So I actually Toxic here, predicting the Dry Skin Heliolisk to come in. He doesn't send in the Dry Skin Heliolisk because it turns out he's not Dry Skin. So as you can see, I fire off Toxic. But he does burn me, which is, I am 100% okay with him burning me, to be completely honest. Because better than being Toxic, and now I can just, now I can tank the, that doesn't put so much pressure on Miltank because now I can tank the Zygarde. So we do happily accept that burn there. So we do fire off the Scald here. And I think, oh, I just got played. Here's the Dry Skin. And nope, turns out he's not Dry Skin. So we did pick up the burn there. You know, it's a Heliolisk, so that doesn't really matter too much. So definitely put some pressure on here because, you know, I definitely don't want to leave my Melodic in on this thing. So we are up 4-3 at this point. I do believe I go into Jolteon here, predicting the electric move. I think he just Dark Pulses. Yeah, I go Jolteon here. He just fires off the Dark Pulse, predicting me to go out into this thing. So it's a good play there on his part, predicting my Jolteon to come in. So does some pretty good damage. I am poisoned here with a Toxic, so this is going to wear me down for sure over the long run. I do just go for the T-Bolt here as he goes into the Weezing. So we're able, or do I go for the Volt Switch? I go for the Volt Switch. Okay, so I do go for the Volt Switch. I pivot out into my Guard here. So Jolteon came in. It didn't pick up the kill there, but I bring in a Pokemon that pressures everything on his team. So we go out into Guard, who is modest max special attack. I really didn't need a whole lot of speed on this because his team was either way faster than mine or not at all faster than mine. He wouldn't have speed on it. So I don't have a lot of speed. I do have a lot of bulk, though. So as you can see by the way we've taken some of these hits. So I'm able to fire off Moonblast here because he doesn't have anything that can switch into the Moonblast. So we fire off the Moonblast. We pick up a big kill on the Weezing. So that's really good because Weezing's just an annoying Pokemon that could potentially pain split up on me. So we take the Toxic damage. We're down to 44 HP. He goes out into Heliolisk, and he, as you can see, fires off a Dark Pulse here. So he has E-Built Dark Pulse. We end up living on 4. I don't know his spread or anything like that, but like I said, we had a lot of bulk. So he was a little upset with the with the low roll. So I don't know if it was a low roll or not. I don't know if it was calculating me with bulk, but that does make up for the flinch earlier if that was a low roll. So that is what it is there. We pick up the kill on Heliolisk. That's 4 kills for Gardevoir, though. So Gardevoir is definitely putting the pressure on. We do go down to the poison, though. But now I'm free to go out into my Miltank here. And it's basically a losing battle because he can't beat me now. He can't beat both Miltank and my Melodic because he can set up a Dragon Dance, but this is kind of a losing battle because he's not going to eat the Ice Punch and then eat the Ice Beam from my Melodic. So we throw off the Ice Punch there. Does some pretty decent damage. He would have to crit me here as well. He would have to crit me here to knock out my Miltank, as you can see, because it's just impossible. He doesn't have a boosting item. He doesn't have his item because his Yachi's already popped, and you see we easily eat that. That doesn't even 2-hit KO with the roll that he got. So we're able to just the Ice Punch here, and we're able to knock out the Zygarde to finish the game. So Miltank definitely coming in clutch there. Miltank and Gardevoir throwing the team on their back this week with a little bit of contribution from Excadrill and just the tiniest bit from Jolteon. But Gardevoir, huge new addition, picking up 4 kills. So definitely was excited about that. So good game to you, Jonathan. I know you're going to be taking over for Specs the next few weeks, so welcome to the APA, man. Excited to see what you can do in the playoff race there in that division. Wild card race is definitely open. So pretty early in the season too, so you could definitely catch Elite Four Dan. So like I said, definitely excited to see what you can do. Specs has a great team here, and I know you're a very competent battler as well. So great game to you, and again, welcome to the APA. So again, guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, we're 4-0. Like I said, we do have to replay Jacob from our last week's battle, so we are 4-0 on top of our division. We do play Arky and the San Antonio Victory Bells next week, so going to be a very tough match with the team that he has, the huge offensive presence his team brings to the table. So be sure to catch that game next week, and again, thanks for watching, guys.